Hello, I am Verdell Hines Myers, and I am the mother of Mary Hines, who is in your class. I am 78 and a half years old, and I live in Merritt Island, Florida, in a retirement community. I was born and raised in Minnesota in a country area. I went to a one-room schoolhouse for my first eighth grades, and then I went to a public school for high school into town. My bringing up was on a farm where it was hard times. I was there when we had the hard times of 30 and 31, and then we were very fortunate that my father was able to keep his farm and his cattle during the Depression. I'm from a family of 7 people, 7 girls and boys, of which only 3 of us are left. I'm the youngest of the 3, and I have a brother 2 years older than I am and a sister 4 years older than I am. My mother lived to be 95 and my father lived to be 78. I went to high school, and after I went to high school, I went to college for 2 years, and my husband-to-be was going to the Great Lakes Naval School, and when he graduated from there, we got married. This is a picture of my husband, Stuart Hines. We were married for 47 years. We had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. He worked at the Kennedy Space Center for close to 30 years when he had a stroke and he lost his speech. He was able to get around and help himself, but he could no longer talk. He lived 17 years like that. He died in 1987 from leukemia.
No, not 1987.
1988? No, 1998.
90. Yeah.
98, excuse me. Almost 2 years, I met a gentleman at church who I married. He was my second husband, and he and I were married in 2000, and we were married for 10 years until he also died, and he, believe it or not, died from leukemia at the end. He had many other problems though, and he lived to be 86 years old. I am now a widow again. I lost my husband about 8 months ago.
Is there anything that you like about being almost 80?
Yes, I love being 80, close to 80, because people have a certain respect for you. But it's also nice because you can just about do anything and it's accepted. You can go and kiss all the cute men if you want to, and they don't mind.
Now you have something interesting happening with me that might happen in your later life.
Yes.
We might be moving in together to
Yes.
help now that you're alone and I've been alone for a few years since my divorce. Might work out that we're going to move in together, which a lot of families are doing nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very common thing, I think, for older people, seniors now.
Yes.
Out of necessity, but also out of
Helping
one another. You know, as you get older, making sure that she has a tendency to fall every once in a while.
Yes. And haven't broken any bones, fortunately.
No, she's got good bones, but yeah.
Yes, Mary's concerned, so we decided that maybe it'd be a good time to move together, and
it would help me also.
help with the children and help with Mary finishing her education, and we sort of like each other, so I think it'll work out pretty good.
Yeah, pretty much alike, probably.
One of my happy times was when I retired after 33 years of working in a preschool daycare setting. I was a teacher and director, and from there I enjoyed it tremendously, but it was so good to know that I didn't have to work anymore.
Did you find a hard time switching from the work mode, getting up at, oh goodness, she was always up like 6:30 in the morning,
At least
switching to
a little
where
bit.
you are now? Was
a
it
little
hard?
bit, because
The
your
transition?
clock goes off the same time in your body, but after a very short time I was easily persuaded to stay in bed for another hour or two.
Another
So-
day.
Yeah, even days sometimes I felt like it. But no, that was very, very fun. That was very fun. I did a lot of traveling. I enjoyed that tremendously. And I've been to see my children in their homes and see how they and the grandchildren and are all doing, and that's been great. I've enjoyed that tremendously.
What about the war? I mean, any of the wars that you lived through? Is this war that we're at right now, and how we fight it through the television almost, and don't really feel the impact of the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan? What kind of difference is this war compared to the ones that you experienced?
Well, you didn't know firsthand the same moment or hours later that a certain place was bombed or so many soldiers were killed or anything like that. I can even remember the Second World War. My father was not in the war, but his brother, my uncle, was in the war. And we didn't know for sure if he was going to come back. I remember my brother being in the service, but he was not in the war. My husband Stuart was in the Korean War, and my husband Carlton was at Pearl Harbor, and they all had many stories.
As far as now that you're single again, any thoughts on dating or how you perceive your generation now at this age in their relationship, maybe as single people?
Well, at this age, dating is fine. If you can find somebody that can get up and walk and drive, that's pretty good to take you out to dinner. But I really don't think that I will ever marry again. I'm certainly not looking, but I've taken care of 2 husbands, and I feel I've seen them through the good and the bad, so I don't think. But it's nice to have male companionship now and then. I have a lot of female.
Very active, almost 80-year-old woman, and she, I hope, will be here for many more years. I know she doesn't want to be here as many as I want her to be here. And I hope that when I get her age, that I'm at least half as active. I don't ever plan on being as active as she is. I'm hoping robots take care of most of the housework, where she loves laundry, yes, and that is one of her passions, and it's not one of mine. So I'm just hoping that I can age as successfully as she has and as my grandmother did. And I think that comes with being active. And I've learned late in life, unfortunately, that you have to be active. I wasn't active for a very long time, and I've changed that, and hope I can keep that up. And I'm hoping that that'll make my later years positive ones, without as much disease and arthritis. And Mom tells me every once in a while about her arthritis in her hands and her arthritis in her knees, and I think, wow, that must be painful. And I don't have that yet, but I'm sure I'll get it, unless they have a cure. I can always hope. So my reflection on this interview is that it was a very nice time with my mom.